video is about correcting some misconceived ideas by the three people who joined together to have a good talk about what they think. Leith Masters, Ryan Williams, and Jody Lowe. I'm not going to attack you. I'm going to make Alan Wallace, sorry, and Ryan Williams for what you wrote about the Constitution over the last couple of days. Well, start off with, let's look at you, Jody. Those two flags, neither of them are the lawful one. Neither of them. You don't believe me? Get somebody to go to Merredin, Western Australia, go to Carrabin, next town past, heading towards Kalgoorlie, go north to Westonia and go to the museum there. You will see the original blue flag, the original red flag. And from that, you will realise both those flags you have there are nonsense. They are not the true flags, and they never were. They're put there to confuse people. Sorry, I've got an itchy throat. I've got a remedy for it. Goes with this season here. Now, the reason I brought the flags up is I took the time to go looking for the original flag according to encyclopedia my mum bought for us in 1958. The World Children's Encyclopedia had all the flags in it. I looked at it and looked at what's available. They're not the same. The blue one is not a corporate flag at all. But I'm not going to get into the flags. Just put that aside. Leith Masters, you talk about star signs and all that, and Mother Earth and all that. None of it exists either. Don't care if you don't like it. This is the Ethiopian Bible, the oldest Bible available on Earth. 300 books. You talk about the papacy and their authority. That says that before they wrote that, and they wrote it as a historic document as well as their beliefs. If you look at that, it'll show you the star signs come from the fallen angels prior to the flood. You can believe it or don't believe it, but I don't believe in Terra Australis either, because that's not a name given to this country. The Great Southland, the Holy Spirit, 1605. New Holland. All these different names for different reasons. You have looked at none of it. Obvious, you just wanted to push Terra Australis. Well, you base what you said on Terra Nautilus. That's only applied on the eastern coast. Had nothing to do with the west coast all the way to the east coast of South Australia, from top to bottom. Captain Stirling claimed all that land for all people, past and present. What does that tell you? All people. Because it wasn't being used, and the people here were pygmies. They were called Negritos. You want to check up on that? Go down to the old Albany prison and tell the curator, who is the curator of the museum, put back the story of the Negrito people. When the first governor went there, they were dying from the diseases they caught off the English and everybody else who came. There's no way they could stop it. So the governor brought linguists from England to teach them the English language. So he could document a lot, along with all the old type photos of all the people. Where'd they go? Why'd you conceal it? Oh, because the Noongar tribe. The Noongar tribe never existed here. It came to Western Australia with Robert Brofo, Frank Brofo, Albert Brofo and Thomas Nathaniel Brofo, who came here from Queensland with the Stuart boxing troupe. Truth? Absolutely. So, I'm not going to attack what you believe, Leith. I don't care what you said about the king and his thing that only just fell apart. I'll show you something. This 4 books are the history of England by Lord Macaulay. And it talks about the revolution in England, which established the Church of England. Not your version. Your version is a lie. I don't know where you got it. It's a lie. This states the bishops had the guts full of the Catholic Church. So they went to the Vatican and told the Vatican, we want to get married. We want to live as normal people. And you are not God on earth, as the Pope proclaimed in the 13th century, which, by the way, is where psychology comes from, the same moron. 2 of them, actually, and you can check that up. Now, you need to sit down and look at the true history of this country. What you haven't looked at, Alan Wallace, your version of the Constitution and what it stands for is nonsense, and you know that. I'm not going to get an argument with you because you've got nothing to argue with. There's no such thing as the state. The only state in Western Australia is the one created under the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act. When did that go to the people? It didn't. So the Constitution says it's crap. We are the state of Western Australia as created under 107, 108 and 109 of the Constitution. Fact. 106 binds the state constitution to the overriding authority of the Commonwealth Constitution. How do we know that? 1939, HCA 39 of 1915, Sir Samuel Griffith clearly said, here you find 106 binds the state constitution and all laws made pursuant to the overriding authority of the Commonwealth Constitution. You said no people existed there. They didn't know what was going on. The referendum was held at the same time as the Constitution. Total lies. State facts or get accused of telling lies because what you said is not true. How do you know? You've only been chasing this stuff for the last few years. As I said in the video 2 days ago, the sheriffs are lawful. A friend of mine who put the whole concept together, I was talking to him 2 days ago. He lives not far from here. What he said is correct. Your common law courts, I don't care what you say, Leith, they're not correct. They're not correct in law at all. The Constitution isn't a fuzzy-wuzzy document. Otherwise, those peanuts in Parliament would have removed it a long time ago. They've tried to slip around it and debunk it in every way and can't. Why? Because it's not open to them to do that. It is a parameter set by the people as how they wish to be governed. How do we know that? Well, this is what we got before the court and makes the court jump up and down and buckle to, oh, look at that, us. And I'll start with the preamble. No, let's just do it off here. When you first look at this is the act as it come back. So you know where it come from. Whereas the people of New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Queensland and Tasmania, humbly relying on the blessing of Almighty God, have agreed to unite in one indissoluble federal commonwealth under the crown of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, and under the Constitution hereby established. So we get back to what you said, Lisa. The Church of England was formed when those bishops came back as archbishops and created the Church of England, the Protestant church, protesting church. It was not any king that did that. There wasn't even a king on the throne when that happened. Those 4 books prove it, written by Lord Macaulay at the time. And you're trying to say, there is no universe that looks after the people. You believe in God, or you believe in your garbage little star signs. That's satanic. And if you follow them, you're following a satanic cult. If what you said to start off with had any truth whatsoever, you would know that when Gough Whitlam signed the Unitary Treaty of Rome, he decided that he had the authority to sign out the Church of England and sign in to the Roman Church again. He had the authority. The Colonial Laws Validity Act said he had no authority whatsoever. Nothing to do with England whatsoever. The Parliament of this country, the states' parliaments are subject to the Commonwealth Parliament, which is subject to the British Parliament. Our Constitution says even if that act had never been enacted, being the Colonial Laws Validity Act, it is beyond the legislative authority of any colony to interfere in any way with an imperial act. You can't do it. So that also is a lie. Oh, the government did this, the government did that, and we had no recourse. We had lots of recourse, but like you didn't stand up and do anything. Now you are. Good. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing now. I'm not going to listen to the nonsense that you put on. I actually listened to the whole lot so that I didn't have to go through it. When somebody asked me, I'd tell them straight out, it's nonsense. Majority of what you said is nonsense. Very helpful in some areas, but you haven't got the knowledge to go with it to know what you're talking about. I can't help that. I didn't do it. You see, what we put into the court and is sitting there. We challenged the jurisdiction of Neil Bond, the manager of the Geraldton Court, to allow anybody who isn't an officer of the Crown to go into our court building and create a court. This is a document here, Affidavit of Truth. It is filled out. It is signed by the Justice of Peace, Constance. She knows what we're saying is correct. That's why we filed it. What we have here is this lovely little thing. This is, it's a cover sheet for 2 lawful documents. So, we challenged every court in the country, because we can, under Chapter 3 of the Constitution. You want to know what to do? Get off your butt and at least look at the law before you denigrate it or put it down as not having any authority. Because what you're saying is crap, lies. It's not the truth. Stop misleading people. This has a court number. Have a look at it right up the corner up here. So it's in there, it's filed, it's ready for a hearing when they can prove jurisdiction. You say you go in the court, you're in the maritime law, you can go into whatever you like, but I'll tell you now, I go in there, I say my name is Wayne Kenneth and my family name is Glue. They can come out with all the rot they like, use their so-called law, which is legal, not lawful, as you say, that part you got correct, and you say, if they say, all right, Mr. Glue, take a seat, I said, I'm not Mr. Glue. You have just breached your homosexual laws. I say who I am, you do not. When they put the homosexual laws in place, they kick themselves in the head. Because we get to say who we are. We're not sovereign citizens. We are the supreme, absolute, uncontrollable authority of this country. Who is? We, the people, every single one, black, white or brindle. You're not listening to half the clowns that come on YouTube and denigrate white people. They are not First Nation. They come on here and they talk about our little friend from up here, grew up in Three Springs, who introduced smoke ceremony, welcomed the country, and you all thought he was a good boy. So you promote that. Why didn't you promote the fact when he was on the Getaway Show, when he had a cameraman inside a cave up north, and he prohibited him from going any further because that was taboo. That was from the people that were here before us. us, the Aboriginal people, the native people. Was he correct? Yes. How do I know? Because history shows. You have been running around saying 10, 20, 30, 50 million years, and you denigrate and attack the Bible with your nonsense about star signs. If you found out where that come from, where psychiatry come from and that, you start to get a shock. But I don't believe you're going to look. But when the Great Flood happened, and there's ample testimony to that and facts, scientific facts, outside of the Bible that prove it happened. If you can't see, the native people would have had to hitch a ride with Noah, which is not true. Hang around the side of the ship for 40 days and 40 nights, another thing not true. Or came from the descendants of Noah. There was a lot. And they spread, and the history shows us that's exactly what happened. The Ethiopian Bible clarifies that. I didn't write that book, we only just got it. To put against the King James Bible, which has a couple of discrepancies. But NIV is a load of junk. It's put there by political parties to make themselves look good. Now, getting back to our Constitution, it's whereas the people joined together in one indissoluble federation, the Federation of Australia, the Commonwealth of Australia. Now, in relation to fee simple title, I'll read you this because this is before the court, which says who owns the land. All land in Australia was sold into private hands through a grant in fee simple title. The new owner of this title is required to hold a deed. The original deeds were signed by the Governor of the state after first determining that all purchase monies had been paid. Know ye that for and consideration of the said sum for and on our behalf well and truly paid into the treasury of our said state before these presents are issued, and of all and singular the premises. We have granted, and for us our heirs and successors do hereby grant unto the said name heirs and assigns, subject nevertheless to the several and respective reservations hereinafter contained, that we do reserve unto us our heirs and successors all minerals. We reserve it. How? Held under the Crown. Go back to your British law. This is why your star signs are garbage. I don't care what you think. The people are not the Crown. The Crown is God. The monarch is God's representative. That's why they created Queen of Australia, to get the Queen out, God out, the Crown out, and they did it and created a state unknown to the Constitution. Understand that? Can you? You've been told enough times. Now, the rest of that. The governor signed, in witness thereof, I have hereunto signed my name and affirmed my seal. This, then, is a very lawful instrument of law, a contract not just with the Crown via the seal, but with the actual sovereign majesty, his, her, heirs and successors. Queen of Australia doesn't have any heirs and successors and is not defender of the faith, so King Charles doesn't exist based on that alone in Australia. But that's crap anyway, it's lies. This instrument is a deed in trust with the current King Charles III as the successor to the Crown. It is a trust in inheritance and a trust in equity. That means that the act of purchase of a grant in fee simple title carries a right to pass on the estate through an inheritance, a right protected by our Commonwealth Constitution Act 1900 UK. So your version of they can take it whenever they like, do what they like, is nonsense, but you don't know this. You haven't bothered to look at it, even though I've sent it to everybody who's asked for it. This is law. It's not acts, statutes, or any other garbage. A trust in equity is the purchaser's right to retain his equality of value in his land. So when the Federal Parliament requires the resumption of land the Crown has sold, it must be under just terms, compensation. Not what they think, what you think it should be. Now, what does it give you? The purchase of any structures or buildings on the land, tenements, the right to build any structure of any kind on the land, massages, the right of ownership of all natural elements on the land to an infinite extent above the land and to the very centre of the earth, corporeal hereditaments. Why isn't it on our titles? Who told them they could take it off? Nobody. The right to use the land in any manner, including to waste the land, waste being lawful term to take back to bare rock or destroy, incorporeal hereditaments. The rights do not include ownership of any water on the land, as water cannot be owned, as it is movable. You have only the use of the water while it is on the land. I'll add to that. There goes the Water Corporation, the government, and our lovely little ex-Prime Minister who handed out water rights to the ministers of the Parliament, politicians, who sold it. It was theft, both by the Prime Minister, the politicians, and the recipients are receiving stolen property. They don't own it, never can own it. I don't care how many billions they paid for it. They have no rights to it. The right to injure a neighbour's enjoyment and use of his property. We can't do that, remember. The right to trespass on another's land without his permission, or a warrant issued under the Crown. Proprietorship of a grant in fee simple title. This is a lawful term of our ownership. We are proprietors of fee simple grant, which means we operate the title during the period of our ownership. Our proprietary rights are often called natural rights, back to natural law. We hold a proprietor's plena, full property including not only the title, but the usufruct or exclusive right to the use. Understand that? If you can't, give me a ring, I'll show you what it means. Our grant in fee simple title deeds lists the new owner as a tenant in common. This refers to the fact that we share our interests with the Crown through the reservation of the minerals. However, the only right the Crown reserves is that listed on the title deed. There is no authority over land by any Parliament purporting to be a government. And that's what they're trying to tell you, but you're not picking up on that, nor are you doing anything about it. You're too worried about your star sign. Wake up. And your sheriff. Nothing wrong with your sheriff. More importantly, we can never own our land under a Torrens title because it does not and never will allow for the ability to inherit, a right which is guaranteed by the King, his heirs and successors. So, Torrens titles by Dodgy Roger and Mark McGowan, just lies and fraud and theft. To replace common law system titles, i.e. fee simple with Torrens title, is in effect the theft of our ownership rights by parliamentary legislation. Has no authority. Parliament cannot put forward legislation. Can I tell you that? Yes, I can. Go to page 701 of our Constitution. It shows you the structure of the governing body. I don't care what you said, or some king said this, some king said that. Go back to La La Land where you came from. Nothing you said states anything of any interest against the Constitution, because it doesn't exist. The Abolition of Tenures Act 1600, Alienation of Land, Charles II AD 1600, the beginning of those 4 books I showed you, wasn't taken out. There was a king then. He died shortly after. For, and be it further enacted by the authority aforesaid, that all tenures hereinafter to be created by the King's Majesty, his heirs and successors, upon any gifts or grants of any manors, land, tenements, or hereditaments of any estate of inheritance of the common law, shall be in force and common sockage only, and not by knight service or in capite, and shall be discharged of all wardship, value, and forfeiture of marriage, livery, prima season, ouster lemain, aid per fair fitz chevalier, and that's an interesting statement, and per file marrier, and law, statute or reservation to the contrary thereof, in any wise notwithstandings. Free and common sockage only tell us we do not have any debts attached to our land once we purchase it, regardless of any purported law, statute, or reservation to the contrary. Land held of the Crown in fee simple may be assured, in fee simple without licence and without fine, and the person taking under the assurance shall hold the land of the Crown in the same manner as the land was held before the assurance took effect. All tenures created by the Crown by way of the alienation of an estate in fee simple shall be taken to be in free and common soccage without any incident or tenure for the benefit of the Crown. What that's effectively saying is what I won the case in 2019 against the City of Greater Geraldton. They have no authority. What part can't you people understand? This Constitution for Western Australia, this is another one. Every state has a constitution put in place under 106 at Federation in its original form as letters patent, so it can't be changed. What does it say in there? Every native shall be fed. Every native shall be clothed. Every native shall be housed. Every native shall be given an amount of money from the GDP. Is there any problem with that? No. Look at the amount of money that's given to them now, but not to them personally, and that's the problem. It's given into corporations. Who owns the corporations? Do they? No. They own part of it. Who owns the rest? Rothschilds. How do we know that? Go and do a search and you'll find out. When you set up a corporation, who owns the property in that corporation? The shareholders? No. The corporation is a sovereign entity. Only difference between that and a human being, it's operated by management. That's the only difference. So if that goes broke, who gets the property? Not the shareholders. So if we're shareholders of a corporation, which has been bandied around, if it goes broke, which they try to say we are, we're not, and I'll come back to that little bit. If it goes broke, under the Corporations Act, all that, everything in there is forfeited to the government. Not to the federal parliament, to the government, which doesn't exist in law. The federal parliament is only one tier of the three tiers: the executive, the legislature and judicature, which affords a serious separation of powers, especially between the legislature and executive and the court system. Go back to what Gough Whitlam did, 1972, 73, whatever, which we shouldn't go back that far. We just should have a look and dismiss it. That's the gargling garbage that goes around. No. They created the Anglican Catholic Corporation Act, the Citizenship Act, which didn't exist. It was the Immigration Act of 1948. I've got it. I told you the other day I've got it. I don't speak without documents that prove it. Lawful law documents. Law in this country under Clause 5 of the Constitution. We are not a democratic parliament. We are not a democratic system. Why? Because in 1999 we voted to retain what we had already. We voted. 1967 we voted to give native people the same rights as us. Did they get it? No. Instead, they turned it around and changed the section of the Constitution, gave them rights to declare we're aliens. I proved that the other day. Is anyone listening? Wake up. You think you are doing the right thing by what you say. You're not looking what others are saying. I look at everything you say. I either dispel it or say it's correct. Common law sheriffs exist. Common law courts do not. The only court recognised by the Constitution is the one in the Constitution. Every single court in the Commonwealth of Australia is part of a federal judicial system with a high court at its summit. Do we know this? Yes. Has it been decided by a superior court? Yes. Cable decision, paragraph 52 says, all courts are part of a federal judicial system with the high court at its summit. I said yesterday, attacking that purported judge, who isn't one, he hasn't sworn the oath. I know what he swore. It's not a lawful oath. So he isn't a judge. He works for the state, created under the Acts Amendment Repeals Court and Legal Practice Act. And they removed the Crown out of the purported state constitution, which isn't this one because they can't touch it. That's a letters patent. They took it out of the one with 32 sections missing, which means we only had 5 states to create the first federal parliament. August 1902, we had 4 because New South Wales removed it. 1922, they removed the upper house of Queensland. Are you taking this into account, you three? I've told you, I'm not insulting you. I'm telling you what the law says. Law, not legal. Lawful, not legal. You can put it in any context you like, but you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. The law says you're wrong. The lawful law says you're wrong. Understand that. Comprehend it. Whichever way you want to put that. I know there's attempts to talk about the SSK Trust. I know it's there. I know everything about it. But you are the one giving the wrong details to people. You were given the wrong details, even in relation to Magna Carta. I'll come to that in a minute because I've got several copies. I got them out of England. Original text with a translation in today's text under it. Cost me a lot of money. I can do it in big size, whatever size you want. 1.5 meters by a metre, not a problem. I have one on my wall which contains the whole lot, both versions. Can it be touched? It's a great charter. It's not a law or a statute. And Toomey would have you, all imperial law is statute. All imperial law is not. It's not. And if it's imperial law or acts or statutes, you have no right whatsoever to even look at it, let alone touch it, because you're teaching garbage. You're lying to the people. How do I know? I've got it all. I've got everything I'm talking about. You can sit there, Alan. I've heard you talk. I know you have a fair idea of how things run. You run a business. I run 2 at the same time as working in the police force. If somebody wants stuff that I've got, give me a yell and I'll supply it. We've got it. Most of it on our computer. What we're digging up all the time is more and more out of the boxes of documents we got to load it on the computer for your benefit, not for mine. I already know what it says. That's why I was given a good memory. Remember it all. I'm not here to say, look at me, I'm this, I'm that, the other thing. I'm here to correct what I see as wrong. I looked at a young lady last night. She would have been all of, say, 17 to 19, who raved on and raved on, get out of our country, you dogs. Well, we all belong to the human race. So go put yourself on the chain, start barking, I'll chuck you some dog pellets, or stop your garbage. We were born here, so were you. I was born in 1948. When were you born? 18, 20 years ago? So you say because you were born black, you're a human, because we're all one race of humans. So you're saying that I'm a dog and you're not? Well, I'll let you in a little secret. If humans are dogs, then you're a dog too, because you're the same human. And Kangaroo Jack, you're such a bigot. I complimented you on the fact that you had tears in your eyes when you were talking about that young bloke who died in the Northern Territory. Somebody said you had no emotions. I said you did, because you showed them. As for Shillingsworth, learn the English language. Why don't you test your DNA and see what your major DNA is? You'll get in for a shock, mate. A big shock. Not a shack, a shock. And then you can get repatriated. On what? On your DNA? Come off it. Wake up, stop talking nonsense. None of us can go back for where you allege we come from. You were born here. You're not half caste, quarter caste or anything else. You're 100% native. 100%. Doesn't matter where your DNA come from. Doesn't matter. What did my family contribute to this country? They become brickmakers in Victoria. There's a museum of the brickmakers near Croydon in Victoria that shows the whole history of them. In Western Australia, my mum is related to the O'Connors. Through my great-great-great-grandmother is his sister. I actually met her before she passed away at almost 90 years old. I'm not talking rubbish. I spoke to her. I always remember how she called her, "Bessie, come and help us, and you boys stop mussing around." It was funny at the time, but it was the truth. My family contributed a lot. You say with some of these dreamers, oh, they were farming the land, they were building buildings. That's all lies. None of that ever existed. I've been in lots of places where you've drawn on your map, and none of it's true. You go to Yalata Mission. That takes a huge big area, much greater than a little bit you've drawn on your map. But don't worry about that. That's only the truth, but who cares? I'm not trying to denigrate you. I'm trying to tell you, take out the rubbish. All the stuff that you've been taught by the socialist communists who are infiltrating this country, taking everything that's here and giving it away overseas. Because wake up. With the 2030 agenda of the United Nations, when they charge all your corporations under the hands of the government, you've lost everything. They take it. Don't matter if they give you land rights. You don't give clear, fee simple title to you. So you have nothing. What I told a couple ladies who came to my place, native ones, the land to the west of their town, they've lived on it for right back into about 1864, something like that. Don't claim native title, you don't need it. Claim adverse possession. The Constitution says, whereas the people of New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia and Western Australia join together in one indissoluble federation, the Commonwealth of Australia. Any law made pursuant to the Constitution, only those laws made pursuant, is binding on the Crown. So if the Parliament says Queen of Australia is the Crown, it's still bound by the laws made pursuant to the Constitution. Like it or lump it, that's the law. What you're trying to say, oh, we've got a simple remedy. You've got no remedy to it. No remedy to it. You can believe in star signs, you can believe in any of it. You can do what you like in relation to a religion, except interfere with the customs and beliefs of this country and then assimilate inside our society. You don't want to do that. Why should we, who work and slave our guts out? I had 3 businesses in the police force. One I run all the time. One I run for 1/3 of the year. Another one I run another 1/3 of the year. I worked long hours so I could pay off what I wanted and buy what I wanted. Because in this country, if you work, you get paid. Ian Walter, so they owe all our rates back with interest. Yes, absolutely 100%. What do you think I put my property on the line for? Not for me, I don't care less. It's not going to affect me. They stole my land because I won the case. You know, Laurie, whatever his name is, the Labor member for Geraldton, lives in Beatty Road in Wagrakine, near Geraldton. He told me at a polling booth, I don't care if you ever win the court, we will change the law and take your land. You can't touch law in relation to land. I've just read it to you. Laurie Graham was his name. Yeah. Unfortunately for him, he had a stroke. I went up to him a few weeks ago and I shook his hand. I said, I wish you all the best. I don't hate him. I don't dislike him. His son is a good friend of a friend of mine. I don't hate anybody. Laurie made a mistake of going to Calabarin and mouthing off at the men's club, only he forgot, or didn't know, one of my friends was there and give him what for back again. He didn't flog him, he was going to, but he didn't. He just told me what he said. And I said, that's okay. I don't care. I don't need money. I don't need anything like you're talking about. Do I own the land? Yes, I paid for it. Who did I buy it off? The Crown. God's representatives. That's what the governor is, and that's who you're supposed to purchase your land off. Not the thieves that you think run this country. While you've got that mentality, you're not going to get anywhere. But you don't want to listen, Alan, because you know. And the rest of you, Leith, you don't know. If you did, you wouldn't talk like you did. If you understood the severity and strength of our Constitution, it sets the parameters. There's the beginning, there's the end of it. You operate in that area, or you don't operate in law. You don't have the guts, any of yous. I'm not talking about Jody because he's got a bit. You haven't got the guts to go and confront them in the courts because you buckle down. I spoke to those two people that got arrested. They got arrested for being in contempt of the court, according to the charges that they spent time in jail for. Not what you said. But what you don't understand, HCA 29 of 2009, Chief Justice French said contempt is an arrogant disregard for the authority and procedure of the court. Who's in contempt now? The judge who sat on it, because you hadn't sworn the lawful oath. So where does he draw his authority from? As I said in the last video, without authority there is no power. So he jailed him for nothing. Jailed the lady and the bloke for nothing. Am I correct? Yes. The High Court ruled it's binding on the courts, judges and people of every state. Why don't you listen? Why don't you stand up and put a writ on him? You could have put a writ of habeas corpus on that judge because he was wrong. He wasn't a lawful judge. Most of the documents you get say quorum. A quorum is an unelected judge, a person impersonating a judge who isn't one. Do I expect you to know all the law? No. But what I've learnt, I can teach you if you would open your ears and shut your mouth and listen. When you go in the police force, they teach you to open your eyes, clear your ears out and shut your mouth until you learn and know what you're talking about. That's what they used to teach you. Now they teach you bash the crap out of everyone, do whatever you like and we'll cover it up. True? The actions prove it. The problem is, there's too many people running around and say, I know this, I know that. In relation to Magna Carta, Jody, Magna Carta, it's in continuing importance in our lives today. By the Committee of the Australian Constitutional Education Fund. It's all here, all about Magna Carta, its application, every single bit of it. Not with what Anne Toomey thinks you should be able to take out of it to conveniently prop up their green constitution, which is nothing but a load of crap. This is Coke on Magna Carta. See? Coke on Magna Carta. Talking about, and this is Lord Coke, Sir Edward Coke. And you have a look. It goes back a long, long way. That king didn't make that order because these people would have took him out. Institutes of the Laws of England. The exposition of many ancient and other statutes. It's all here. You can read it all. I bought it. Why did I do that? Because I wanted to know the law. I didn't want to stand there and say, oh, I think. I dream of some dream somewhere down the line that might have come out of a spaceship and or down with the stars and in the age of Aquarius. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. There's the age of the Bible and the teachings of Jesus Christ. Wake up before it's too late and you go down to hell. I'm not threatening you, I'm telling you, wake up. There's only two ways to go, up or down, and you're given your choice. The reason you're given the choice, because Jesus said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. You are sovereign under that. And our Constitution recognised it's based on the King James Bible. You don't believe me, I can show you so many places in it where it says that. People are just not looking. They don't want to listen. They want to know everything because I've suddenly crawled out of the woodwork somewhere. I've learnt this. I run a business. I'm referring to you, Alan. At least I don't know where the heck you came from, but irrespective of that, I know where Jody comes from. I've spoken to him a couple of times. I only put what I have documents to prove. You want a copy? I'll send them to you. You don't? Then I suggest you go find something else to talk about. I learnt history at school. I read every single book in the high school library where I went, which was Kalamunda High School. You want to have a look at the records. You'll show that it was the class I was in that made all the letters. Kalamunda High School on the front and the shield on the front. Mr. Munsell was my teacher. Mr. Miller was the metalwork teacher. I can tell you all the other teachers too, because I was blessed with a good memory and I'm using it for you, not for me. I'm 77 years old. It doesn't really worry me. I'm not scared of any of these idiots. And I don't give two hangs about money. These peanuts want to change Social Security. Social Security is Services Australia, a company registered in Texas. Why? If there's no money in Social Security, why are you operating a company out of Texas? Control for the politicians. It's just come out that Dodgy Roger is at it again. He's taken all the royalties from minerals and put it in banks in the Cayman Islands where it can't be tracked. Oh, I deny that, he says. Lisa Scafidi? Yeah, right. And we believe you? Ah, sorry. I choose not to believe you. I choose never to believe you, Dodgy Roger. Never. Mark McGowan, another crook. If they've taken that money, you know what I suggest? You take the $600 billion you got in the Futures Fund and you take that money. You give all future royalties to every single person in this country. Black, white or brindle. The money you got there now, split it amongst these communities, not into their corporations, against them themselves so they can improve their conditions. They're atrocious, they're wrong. And help them get the land held in adverse possession, which is correct. There was a native welfare before Federation, right back until I was told 1864. I know it was there. I know there is natives in the Constitution. It says whereas the people. It also says where they have to be trained, educated, and they are. Some of them are standing up and getting educated. Some of them think we're dogs and they don't have to do nothing. They can sit back and bludge on the dole. Well, if you're a dog, you can't really work unless you go chasing sheep. Are you the sheep? Or are you just another dog like us? Wake up to yourself. Stop talking about people the way you do. Shane Turley, moving forward, what happens now, Wayne? What happens now? We go to this meeting. We put all of the flags aside. Torrens flag, Torrens Strait Islanders. It was named after Pedro the Portuguese, who landed on the west coast of Cape York and erected a flag claiming it for Portugal. And his name was Torrens. That's where he got his name from. Thursday Island, I had no idea where that name come from. There was never in history that can be assessed a land bridge between there and New Guinea. What has happened, and I've found, and when I get a copy of it, I'll put it up on here, that the French claimed a large section of Western Australia because they colonised the section and left because they couldn't sustain life here. Then you go to the Dutch, who did the same, and they brought people here, and when they left they dumped them. Check it up, you'll find out. I know who I believe it is when I find out. But interesting to note, the people where I'm staying, they are part native. In fact, they're Aboriginal because they were born here. Their great-grandfather fought in the war. He was black, pretty close to black as this. I've seen pictures of him, I read his history, what he did in the war. He stood up for this country. But the cousin, other than European, her only DNA, because she's nearly 90 years old, was Polynesian. Look at history. Start to weigh up if this comes out, you're all going to end up with rotten eggs on your face. Stop misleading and deceiving. This is a chance on the 31st of this month for everybody to drop out the garbage being politicians and lawyers and judges. Drop them out, get rid of them, and come back under the Commonwealth Constitution Act, the state constitutions first, to create the first lawful federal parliament. Till you do that, this country's going nowhere. You want a solution? Put it back where it belongs. Stop lying. Put everybody in the same position. We are all humans. We are all intelligent. I know a lot of native people, they're absolutely brilliant. They work hard, they work their guts out to get what they want, and then suddenly you can't have any of it. No, because somebody thinks we're dogs and they should take it off us. Back to Dirk Hartog, Ferdinand Magellan, Vasco da Gama, see all those in 1770, all when this state was claimed for all people past and present. So the Mabo decision doesn't even come near that. But I'm not saying anything about that because it was knocked out with the 1999 referendum because of the way Howard wanted it. He wanted it knocked out. He did. They now control the High Court, so you can't even go to the High Court. We don't have to. We've got to challenge their jurisdiction using our Constitution, and they're finished. Absolutely finished. Because they, not you, under Section 40 of their Judiciary Act, lawful or unlawful, who cares? We put the Constitution as the supreme law of this country, and it is. If they have any issue with it, they, not you, have to put it to the High Court. That's why we've said to them in these documents, put it to the High Court. You ask us what we're doing? I'm not going to run around and tell you every 5 minutes what I'm doing. When I've done it, I will, because it's fun. The person who put it there was Michael Kent Burnett. He wants his name out there. He's standing up to him. Guess what? He works his guts out, long hours, for what he wants. You do it too. Stop your star sign garbage. You want your religion, you can have it. 116 says you can. But it doesn't say you can set up colonies and kick us out and tell us we're going to have this law, that law, or the other law. Follow our customs and beliefs, assimilate into our society, or get out. Your choice. Simple choice. If your country's so good, go back there. You think you should stay here and have the benefits that we've worked for? No. There's enough people born here, black, white, or other, that deserve the money we've earned and still earning. We paid for our pension, 7.5% since the 1st of January 1946. We didn't have to pay for it. The Parliament did. The Constitution says so. The green one is absolute moo-poo from one end to the other. Nothing more. So you take what I've said, you believe it or you don't, but you'll get caught up in the stream when you start pushing your stuff and find out you're breaking the law. I don't care what decision you made from your common law court. I work with some very, very intelligent people who have been in the system for a long time and know the law and have learnt the Constitution. What are these 4 books? The History of England by Lord Macaulay. That's the 4 books. You can get them off the internet. That's where you get it from, mate, off the internet. That's Dale Cooksey.
Go get from eBay.
Yeah, you can get it off there, and that's how it is. So you can go and get it whenever you like. So all I'm asking everybody is stop fighting. Go along on the 31st and tell the government you don't exist, because they don't. Tell them before they go back to their jobs on Monday, show us where your authority comes from in the Constitution, because not one of them can. Albanese, Penny Wong, nothing you signed overseas has any value. You're lying pieces of garbage. You are lying to the people. You can't sign anything without first putting it to us, and you haven't. It's invalid. Who says so? Our Constitution. That's why I say, Alan, that is a strong book. The other bloke, I don't care. I read what you wrote. That's garbage. Terra Australis, that's garbage too. It was never called that. Its actual proper name dating back to Bible times was Beulah land. Understand what that means. That's why the Ethiopian Bible has so much strength in this country. You'll understand when you take the time to look at it. Stop reading your star signs. They'll only put you out as a space cadet. There is no authority and no strength and no being called the universe. There's only one, God. Only way to him is through Jesus. Don't believe it? I don't care. You can call me a religious nut. I couldn't care less. You still do not worry me. Understand this. So you have a nice day, because I've got nothing to say probably until next week. And I will add to it if you come on here and come with your nonsense. But Jody, if you want to understand Magna Carta, you contact me and I can make sure we go and get a big copy. It's about yay long and yay high. It's pretty big. I got it out of England. I had it blown up. And it's totally readable, both in Old English and New English. Unfortunately, yet we haven't written it in bogan Australian, but it's not our thing to do. But have fun with it. And know it's the truth. It isn't the garbage that you're trying to inflict on you, nor can it ever be. We the people are supreme and sovereign in our own right. There are no exceptions. And no, we can't live under a star sign because there's no such thing. It's Satan worship from before all the tribes of Israel spread all over the world. You don't believe me? Tough. Have a nice day.